All right. Welcome to Weeaboo Hell.
It's Weeaboo Hell.
I am Denard Dale, aka Blind Monkey. Do I use that nickname anymore? It's useful when I pull a prank that's very illegal.
Illegal. It's going, like, we'll get you actually just arrested.
Yeah, really walked the line of that MTA thing.
I mean, that was the one that got you in the papers, so, like...
Dude, got me in the papers, got me my job. I guess I'm the man I am today because... Hey guys, if you ever have a chance to break the law or not break the law, I would
recommend breaking the law. I mean, fuck the police just to begin with, but also, don't you want to be a cool teen like me?
Yeah, cool teen. I'm a cool.
I've been a cool teen for over a decade now,
and it is the best lifestyle. So, which one of our 3 rounds do you want to do first here?
I want to do the good one first.
All right, we're gonna do the good one.
It's so rare.
First. It is so rare. We have a rare fruit today.
Well, it's not that it's that rare that there are good shows. It's just rare that we cover them. But this is a show. And all this stuff is going to be from the 2020 winter season, right? This is a show that has been probably getting a decent amount of press as just a really fucking good show. Out of, a master director, in this case, Masaki Yuasa, director of Mind Game, Kaiba, Devilman Crybaby.
Let's drop the title in there.
Oh, yeah, it's Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken, which is it's a show with such a very simple premise that it does just everything with.
I was really worried when I caught the concept on paper, and I knew we were watching it because it just said, a club of high school girls have whimsical slice of life adventures, which describes so many things that I have
absolutely no interest in whatsoever. Me neither.
Yeah. I thought I was gonna be riding a train of fear and loathing. I was still interested because the guy is a master director. Like, ooh, I'm going to see Quentin Tarantino make The Babysitters Club. But no. This show has a lot of great things going for it. Visually, tonally, it's a good ride. It's a good ride.
There's some actual passion behind it, which is rare. There's no cynicism at all, and that's often the problem that I have with a lot of these shows. Like I have all of my problems with isekai, and I have all of my problems with aloe shit, and I have all of my problems with just lazy moe bullshit, and like the through current for all of them is lazy cynicism, and there's absolutely none of that in Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken, which is this great little story. It's a very simple story in its conception of just 3 girls who are trying to make an anime. You've got one of them who's a character designer. You've got one of them who's more of a concept artist / background designer.
And one of them who is basically a producer in the womb who will be a chain smoker in 10 years.
Oh man,
she can't get cigarettes now, but yeah.
Yeah, it's 15 now, will be a chain smoker and day drinker. My favorite character out of the 3 of them by a country fucking mile, by the way.
Yeah, and they've all got pretty distinct looks and feels, which is pretty appropriate for a show about animation, the love therein.
Yeah, absolutely.
The show is very distinguished visually, stylistically. The moment you see the people,
it's so very much a Masaki Yuasa show. It's pretty unmistakable as one if you're familiar with his work. Although it's actually kind of restrained given what else we've seen out of him, even in very recent years. Like, I think my first exposure to him was Kaiba. For a lot of people, was Mind Game. And a lot of people, because it came out on Netflix about a year or 2 ago, was Devilman Crybaby. All of these had really, really weird out there animation styles. And this is
Devilman Crybaby. That got a lot of momentum among the Hot Topic crowd.
Yeah,
for good reason, too. I mean, it had style.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I was really, really excited because I've seen Devilman, right? I've read Devilman, right? I know exactly where that shit goes. So it was kind of fun just seeing that there was a new adaptation of it and being like, ooh, I can't wait for the memes about the people who felt personally betrayed by how this ends. Like, why would you do this to me, Masaki Yuasa? No, Go Nagai did this to you in, 1978.
And I don't know, I think we all just need to be reminded of what pain is every now and then.
Absolutely. This series was not painful, though. This is a joyful little series that has this sort of energy to it that that kind of made me feel, or at least made me remember feeling young and being really, really goddamn excited about things,
Oh
about the
yeah,
things that I absolutely love.
it definitely captures that spirit of enthusiasm of I don't know, being a young creator, or even just having a young project, like when you're gunning at a thing and you don't really have any sense of scale or attainability, which is why you need your future chain smoking friend.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Is that our problem? We don't have like a future chain smoking producer person? Man, should I have just stuck around with that one Princeton girlfriend?
I
Or
just remember in high school, all of us were potentially that one future chain smoking friend.
and then everyone just veered into the cuckoo creator.
We all veered into the cuckoo creator, and we just decided to start drinking instead of smoking. Unfortunately, but not
Because
not cocktails, because that's, I don't know. Are cocktails like the daytime cocktails, like Tom Collins or Manhattans? That's the cocktail of a productive person. I just drink beer.
I mean, I'll dive into cocktails or wine or beer or rubbing alcohol or spiked O'Douls,
Everclear, schnapps,
paint.
limoncello.
You know that's that stuff beneath the sink, like we keep all your cleaner and soaps and stuff. I'll just try mixing those together and seeing if there's a kick to it.
Kind of into really shitty cognac lately.
But yeah, this show's got a fun little trio. Okay, so we talked about producer lady at length. I guess she's our favorite so far.
Oh, she's so
But,
great.
there's sort of a bouncy short main girl who has she sort of always kicks off the little flights of fancy that
Yeah,
this
is very much her show, and she does a good job kind of anchoring it. She is, the sort of imaginative one who's kind of propelling things forward. I think this show's what the show is going to be remembered for is every episode features one or sometimes two scenes. I think I'm up to speed with it. I think the two of us watched the first couple of episodes together. Yeah. Every episode features a scene or two where we kind of just go into her imagination as she's sort of plotting out how all of this is gonna look, right?
Oh yeah, and she's imagining like building such and such machine, and the momentum sometimes carries over into little accidents in real life, including her falling off of the second floor of a building.
There was this great little visual gag where producer friend already just has her phone out ready to film this right there. Kind of snickers at her while uploading the thing to YouTube, sending it to the press.
The thing is elevated by having a sense of humor that is both smart but not but neither cloying nor arbitrarily mean.
No, absolutely. It's a show that very much gets how, teenagers interact, I think. There's a whole lot of verisimilitude going on when you're like looking at these characters and sort of how they agree with one another, how they disagree with one another, how they get kind of annoyed with one another a little bit every here and there. The way that friends often do. They'll rag on each other a little bit. They'll be helping each other out, the whole time, right? Because at the end of the day, this is not one of those shows where, the dialogue is so cutting and biting and it's just everyone insulting one another for 22 minutes. No, it's not that. I'm not trying to imply that it's that. It's more like the way that the way that you talk with your friends, right? When you're both kind of just excited about something and you're talking about that, and occasionally, like
someone has to say, "What are you doing?"
Someone says something, that's potentially riffable, and the other one will immediately jump on that riff. How can you resist?
And that's why I never really get anything done. But yeah, it's got a lot of charm to it. Something I was considering dunking on or joking about for a second was just the resources at their disposal. You see, they start this animation club to make a animated film, and they get a little building for it. And I was going to say, what high school has all these fucking resources? But then I had a little flashback, and I know I'm known for my little tangents, but let me have this one.
Go for it.
So I went to Princeton University because I am very good at rotely memorizing answers and pretending that's a skill. Or affirmative action, whatever. And while I was over there, I was shopping around for locations to host a, I don't know, we have this annual dance show I ran the crew for a year. That's not important. The point is I needed to find a large space. And the quest of this took me to Princeton High School, which had an auditorium, which we almost rented and would have been cool. Also, I did some charity performance or whatever, but the point is, I've seen Princeton High School, and now I understand where all the magic, the fucking schools you see on TV shows or anime that have just
Oh, just yeah, no, they have
spare rooms and jars full of expensive shit. It's
the
like,
lockers have keypads.
we're the banking club, we're the movie production club. It turns out that this place is real. I walked in and it looked like 22nd century Saved by the Bell. There are LCD wall-mounted televisions everywhere. It's huge.
Good God.
I don't know how the other half lives, I said.
I remember the big projectors in our in like the newer classrooms in our public high school were looking pretty fucking neat back in 2009.
Yeah, we were real impressed by that shit. Meanwhile, in Princeton High School, they're riding in there on the backs of people.
Hello, students. We've switched to whiteboards.
So yeah, I can buy the film production club a little more.
What I really appreciate about this show, because of how antipathetic I am towards the genre, is I love how anti-moe it is. The moe genre being, kind of, the idea of, cute girls doing cute things, and, there's not actually any substance to it. They're just kind of doing cute things, and that's kind of really where it ends. And I guess they sort of have nice little character interactions, but it's all very rote. And the characters in this show, the character designs are very much not what you would consider cute in that, sort of traditional Japanese moe sense. Quite the opposite, in fact. Like all the characters are drawn to look fairly plain. But you feel for them so much fucking more than you would, like some random goddamn moe blob. I think, well, here's the thing. It's what always pisses me off is when I feel like I'm being made into a mark, or I'm being thought of as a mark, right? They're trying to sell me this character.
Dude, I can live with being thought of as a mark. You just have to fucking try. And I think the character design of this show, and I guess for just the basic cartooning talents, like someone who like was awake during their first 2 years at SBA.
Yeah. Well, in my case, I never felt like I was like there was anything cloying going on, or I was being, manipulated into liking a collection of pixels. The way that I so often feel whenever I watch something of the moe genre. This actually, the characters do actually feel real, and I feel for them, and I want good things for them because they actually have some amount of depth, right? There's verisimilitude to their actions and, their personalities, right? They're not anime characters. They're just people in an anime. This show eschews cliches so goddamn consistently. It
feels good.
It really feels like a completely new type of show sometimes.
I was really worried for a second when they dropped in her being like an idol or something, or the son of, was it actors or a musician or something.
The third girl, the character designer is in her public life like a teenage fashion model, right?
And I was sweating bullets. It's like when Palpatine came on screen in the most recent Star Wars film. I was thinking, oh shit, the walls are about to cave in. But it went to a fun place, and it informs her character without becoming overbearing. And
well, it's very much out there on the peripheries, right? It's not the focus of the show, and it never really becomes the focus of the show.
No, we're early in the season, by the way. If it somehow takes over the show,
if it somehow shakes over the show, I'm gonna get fucking pissed. No, but what it does is it informs her character and creates a little bit of conflict here and there without it being this, I don't know, strange Hannah Montana-esque premise. It does not become a premise. It just becomes a minor source of conflict for the character, both internal and external. There's a scene in a later episode where, she just kind of runs into a couple of fans and sort of immediately slips into that public face that, public figures sort of have to develop in order to, kind of...
You need to refine a tone of voice in which you say, I did not have sex with that woman, in sort of the Bill Clinton parlance. But, just for workaday things, too, like, please stop following me, Mr. Paparazzi Man. I'm trying to sleep or talk to my child.
Yeah.
I feel
Yes.
kind of remiss that I keep bringing up the look of the show, but I haven't actually talked about all the little animation stuff that they
Oh,
do.
there's so many
Both in
little
terms of the
animation things that they do. That's Yuasa right there.
yeah, both in terms of the actual animation and when I should have brought this up, but when they start these little flights of fancy that they have, their little I don't know Rugrats deviations in a good way. Um, they usually start in the form of a sort of inside baseball riff about animation. Like she's talking about how anime constructs things, and they're usually explaining it to the one girl who's sort of a producer, so not super knowledgeable about
Yeah,
anime backstage.
she's just there to make sure that they get shit done. She does like she straight up admits very early on in the show that she's not actually that into anime, but she sort of sees the opportunity here and is a good friend, wants to encourage her friend's passions, right? And she sees a win-win situation here.
Yeah, the show is very incidentally educational. In fact, given it eschewing a lot of I don't know, annoying anime things, having a focus on youth, and just being relatively approachable tonally, this might actually be a good jumping on point for anime in general. Like, if you're trying to get someone into it or sell them on it or whatever.
Yeah, it'd be a fantastic one. I think it knows when to be granular, like when to get granular about, hey, so animation, here's some interesting stuff you might want to know, and when not to be, and when to just sort of take you into Asakusa is the name of the main character. When to take you into her imagination as she's thinking about this sort of she seems to be a very big they never actually say his name, but she's a huge Hayao Miyazaki fan.
Oh man, they don't say his name, but their breakdown of basically a Miyazaki scene is
it's
really amusing,
and it's really fun, sort of like watching her construct these Miyazaki flying machines and these Miyazaki flight scenes. Whole cloth, and dragging her friends along into them, and they seem to be because of how and this is like both great character writing and just really a treat to see animated because of how excited and animated she is. They seem to be as much a part of these fantasies as she is. They seem to be witnessing it with the same vivacity that she is imagining it.
Yeah, when I made that Rugrats gag earlier, it's because this show does basically a way more artful version of the gag on that show where the infants would all be sort of caught in the same daydream, but they're also moving in reality.
Yeah. I mean, in the sort of sense was, kids play pretend.
Yeah, and this is more like the creative sort of process.
This is more you're kind of getting inside of Asakusa's head, and because she is so good at articulating ideas, you have the other two characters who are right there with her, who their presence in her, kind of little fantasies here are sort of a marker that she is able to create such a captivating idea that they are right there with her. Oh, it makes you feel really good to see. Like the last.
Oh yeah, it is also just generally feel good television.
Oh, absolutely! It's a very happy little show. Its theme song is a fucking bop.
Once again, we're early. If one of these kids gets cancer and dies, oops, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. Maybe it's like that fucking. What was that Antarctica anime called?
Oh, did one of them get cancer and die?
I don't think I had cancer. I don't think went to fucking Antarctica, and it just smelled like tragedy. I didn't even watch it because I don't know, man. I was in one of my little political funks. I was in the mood to watch 2 out of 5 girls bite it.
It's A Place Further Than the Universe, right? That's the one?
I think that's it, yeah.
Okay.
It just smells like watching the trailer to Old Yeller.
Okay, yeah.
Like one of these kids is getting taken to the shed.
I could go on TV tropes right now and confirm or deny. No, we've got more things to talk about.
What reminded me, not in terms of form or content in any way, but just in terms of emotional resonance, is I've been to 3 out of I think the 4 Disneys that exist. Maybe there are more. Fuck it, but
there's a lot of them.
Okay, never
There's
mind.
2 of them in China alone.
My God. Okay, so I'm full of shit. I've been to Disneyland, Disney World, and Tokyo Disney, and I'm a fan of every version of Fantasmic, right? And
there's 3 you haven't been to.
There's 3 I haven't been to. Okay, I'm halfway through the quest. I might just have to complete the circuit. My point with the Fantasmic thing is that what I liked about that is that the show, that while being good on its own, it always sort of reignites in me the idea that creation itself is fun and worthwhile and leaves a mark on the world. Even if it doesn't leave a mark on the world, leaves a mark on yourself. That's a very roundabout, florid way of saying that if you are a creative type person, I think you might get a little extra out of this show, because just watching someone sort of fall in love with that for the first time is cool.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something that I really miss about the first time I felt my soul just get set the fuck on fire by something. And just need to do something about it.
Nice.
And that is long past. And every now and again, I'll have something that reignites that spark just a little bit. Something I witness or something I participate in that makes me just really fucking excited to do the things I love. But
like his amazing podcast,
like the amazing podcast, yes. But there is something that you can never really ever experience it again for the first time. And but this show actually made me sort of come close, as it made me kind of remember, like those really, really early days when I was just, falling in love with anime as a medium, when I was embarking on my first fictional endeavors, like they're old shames by now, but there is something so very exciting and alive about it, and you get that same sense of excitement. And I don't want to use the same $5 word twice here in this episode, but I gotta. But that same vivacity.
Completely unrelatedly, keep an eye out for Mr. Legault and Mrs. Wright, The Pulse of the Stars, coming winter 2020. Ha! You're locked into a release date now, fucker.
That's too early, and that's the working title.
It's a weekly. Don't ask you to drop the entire album in a day. Remember to send him messages about the character of himself and his mother and the mother of his fiance. If this product is not available for your consumption at that point. We've already bought you convention tables.
Fantastic.
And speaking of what he was saying about how it reminded him of some sort of early creative bits, I had a similar feeling. Specifically, I have a problem, not a mercenary problem because it's not an economic thing, but sometimes I get a little too fixated on ideas of making it or finding an audience with various things, which can lead to being driven in a way, but can also be distracting from the fact that doing the various writing and comedy and etc. things is first and foremost supposed to be fun, and my best stuff comes from it just being fun. And this, I don't know, watch it, the way this thing lays out reminded me that it's fun. Like, none of these kids are thinking like, okay, so how do we increase engagement with our film here? Well, actually, the producer's thinking that, but that's her sort of character gag. But
what I like is that the three of them all have very distinct motivations. One of them, the main character, Asakusa, is playing very much for the love of the game. Mm-hmm. One of them is absolutely in it to make a buck. Well, the third is sort of kind of doing it because she's not allowed to. Although that's almost not fair to the character, because she does actually seem to have this same love for it that the main character does. But she's coming from a very different place, I guess.
Yeah, the tone around her is sort of she's sort of like one of those universal wunderkind types.
Yeah, well, to her it seems like there's something very secret and kind of forbidden and very special about anime and about animation.
Yeah. She's like approaching the other two, saying, paint me like one of your weeaboo girls.
Yeah, whereas Asakusa has just completely made it into her entire world. And it very literally becomes her entire world for stretches of entire sequences in this show. And God, I can't recommend this enough. It's such a fucking joy to see.
I'm generally dead inside. I felt less so. I recommend this show too. In fact, I consider this show to be maybe a preview of our best of the 2020s in 10
Honest
years.
to fucking God, yeah.
And grizzled.
This is probably going to be one of my favorite shows of the year. It might be just my favorite show of the year. Really fucking... I just fucking love Masaki Yuaka coming out the fucking gate swinging like this.
Pitching heat.
Just fucking drop kicking the entire fucking anime community, daring someone to do better. We're getting a second season of Kaguya-sama this year, so hey, maybe it ends up being a real good year.
All right, yeah, W's to the sky. Why say that? We live on the East Coast, whatever. Speaking of previews of our decade end list, a little preview of our worst came out.
Oh yeah,
recently.
Yeah. He's it's gonna be a long 10 years, obviously.
Do you have the title?
If this does not make it to the top 5 or bottom 5, I guess, I'm going to be surprised and horrified. I don't remember the actual title in Japanese. It translates to Interspecies Reviewers.
Yep. Interspecies Reviewers. I think it's colloquially known as a mix of its Japanese and English title, like Ishizoku Reviewers or something. But
Something like that. Premise: fantasy world, right? Full of brothels. That's where this show takes place.
Fantasy world is no, that's imprecise. Fantasy world can imply all kinds of cool Earthsea shit.
Generic
this
as
is
fuck fantasy world.
an isekai world.
Yeah, minus the it's an isekai world minus the isekai setup.
Yeah.
It's just the world that any isekai protagonist gets transported into. Only we're not talking about that. We're not. God, it would feel almost refreshing if this was an isekai.
Do that, and I think that's something. Remember that old memed last scene from The Dark Knight where fucking Gordon comes up to Batman and one of them asks, "Are you worried about escalation?" I think that's happening. There's like some kind of arms race of extremity within the fucking isekai thing itself.
Like, how shitty can it get?
Because this show. Okay, look. I'm not Tipper Gore. I'm not Jack Thompson. You listen to this show. I think the last episode I had a bunch of jokes about strippers in Atlantic City. Mm-hmm. And then this shit comes out and I have to sound like a fucking member of the local Amish censoring board when I...
It's disgusting.
And
it's just disgusting. There's no, like...
And... Okay, so...
premise time, right?
It follows... Okay, I guess there are 4 of them. There are 2 of them that matter. It follows 2 to 4 sick fucks who should be in jail because they go to different brothels and review the women there, which is something I'm pretty sure that serial killers do before they really get going. Like it's like stretching for serial killers.
I've listened to enough last podcasts on the left where I can say more or less that this is kind of true.
Before we talk about, cultural gaps and, you're just coming in this shit on something. No. Funimation just stopped distributing this in America. But this is wrong there too. And Japan has an equal or greater problem with their brothel, whatever setups, having a human trafficking thing. So it's not in a better cultural place there. This is just a terrible fucking show.
And it's not just bad in that it's, reprehensible. It's bad in that it's lazy too.
Also,
good... like 3 or 4 minute. It felt like 3 or 4 minutes long. Maybe it wasn't that long, but it was just pans over still cheesecake shots, for a good couple of scenes.
I think I should lend some context to that.
We got 5 or 6, not quite 10 minutes into this episode, into the first episode of this show before I'm like, I can't watch this. I refuse to keep going on with this. This is legitimately cancerous.
So I think I should lend some context to that. Because I think I sort of just started going off on it like it punched me in a gonad, which I guess it did metaphorically. So we start with our 2... Hunter S. Thompson liked the word whore hoppers, or was that just Spider Jerusalem? Either way, whore hoppers, right? Mm-hmm. Literal whore hoppers.
Yeah.
Who have just finished whore hopping.
Yeah.
In this fantasy setting where... I don't know, it's a medieval setting, so I think they should just have syphilis now, but...
Besides the point.
That's besides the point. And often a comedy series will try to sort of go for something really clever or representative for its opening gag, because like, oh shit, we need to tell people what the game is here. Mm-hmm. Sunny in Philadelphia had the whole "the gang gets racist" thing, where all 4 of them are immediately reprehensible in a way that is amusing to us.
Yeah.
In this one, it's this thing that they think is really clever, and I could see how... in the head of a person or a team that's writing the script to the horror review show. I feel like a crazy person to talk about this. But the gag is a human who sleeps with a 500-year-old elf prostitute, argues with an elf that sleeps with an 80-year-old human prostitute that looks old, but the elf prostitute looks young, but the young elf guy is disgusted because the old elf prostitute that the human slept with, I'm going fucking crazy.
No, here's the
has
thing.
Old energy. No, I'm finishing this. I'm finishing describing this fucking setup. Whereas the human is disgusted at the elf whore hopper for sleeping with a prostitute that looks old. So then they get 2 of their whore hopping friends who sort of form a salon of whore hoppers to sort of break down the pros and cons of these different fictional pieces of meat.
And assign numbers to them. Here's the thing, that whole initial disagreement that they had was one of the first times that a joke has actually been funnier when it was explained rather than when it was told.
Yeah, it's just
Like
sort of the fact that they did it is
the joke was played out so fucking incompetently that you actually just spelling out to me, you almost see the echoes of a joke that worked maybe in another time, in another place, in a place far from here. Some place not here. Is that the line from Vinland Saga?
close enough. Yeah.
Yeah, in some place not here, this joke kind of tracked. Not here though.
I don't know how this fucking happened, man. Like, I could just see the alien sociologists putting up a still of the camera crawling up this 80-year-old prostitute's body as these 4 whore hoppers fucking review her existence. And then just explaining how the late Anthropocene fucking happened and why everything happened.
I remember watching this show, right? A lot of the really fucking bad shit we watch, right? There comes some entertainment value from sort of just lambasting it, just yelling at the TV a little bit.
Yeah.
You saw me.
Yeah.
Dead silent.
It was bad.
Dead silent. I had nothing to say to this show. I have very little to say about the show. This was the kind of bad that the film Caligula is, right? This is the sort of, I can't finish this. I won't finish this. I refuse to finish this. Fuck off. Fuck you for making it. Fuck you for making me watch it. Fuck everyone involved in its production. They should be ashamed of themselves.
I think this is some kind of high watermark, right?
Hi?
Well, I just mean that this is about as far as, I don't know, the pseudo-ecchi isekai stream of thought can go, because it's a show about reviewing Dragon Quest prostitutes. I don't know.
I'm so fucking upset that it exists.
I don't even know how that fucking happened.
No, I know how it happened. I know why it happened. It's because, like, no one acted to stop it. Everyone was always like, oh, no, forget it, Jake. It's anime. Yeah, and this is...
Yeah.
And now it's my sister, my daughter.
Man, is this worse than Eromega Sensei?
Possibly.
I mean,
I won't ever know because I'm not watching another fucking second of it.
One time we tried to review this one fucking show, Val X Love.
Oh,
and it was
yeah,
such
and
a pit of nothing. We had to tap early because there wasn't anything to talk about.
There wasn't anything to talk. It was just fucking boring. This was so terrible in a way that wasn't even...
This one makes my fucking radically centrist ass want to go on a fucking Gender Studies 203 rant, so you can pretty much understand how badly they fucked the dog. You know, eventually there's gonna be an episode reviewing different dog prostitutes, because... I
bet. What I'll do maybe I'll just find synopses of the various episodes and see just where they fucking go from here.
I would be fascinated. That might even be a riff unto itself, because I'm not watching more, but
absolutely fucking
I'll project it over their summaries, because they don't have a big toolbox here, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be a repetition of elements, if you will.
Okay, when you have horrible characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
The audience likes watching them, right? And is interested in seeing what they do, not because they are sympathetic, but because they are compelling. This is why a show like Always Sunny, right, has been going on for 12 years, and a show like... I don't know, Titan Maximum lasted a single season, right? Because they have to be compelling. That was a really fucking deep cut right there. Because
no, I mean, it comes across. Titan Maximum was an Adult Swim program.
Everyone was a fucking asshole, and they weren't even, like, an interesting asshole, and it wasn't fun to watch.
All right, that was an apt summer. It was also a Voltron parody for some reason.
It was a Voltron parody, yeah. It was Seth Green and I think the other guy on Robot Chicken.
Explain to me parodies of... I can only talk about the horror shows for so long. Explain to me parodies of things that haven't been in the zeitgeist for a round. Like, does this need a takedown this late in the game? Or I guess it can be more of a love letter. And I guess Titan Maximum, for all that, was still by someone who liked Voltron kind of shit.
Yeah, I guess, and was incapable of writing a character I wanted to see, his next move. Whatever. I didn't come here to dunk on a aborted Seth Green project from 2008.
In fact, us veering off topic kind of reminds me of how I would describe the show, and it's the last thing I'm going to say about this.
Yeah, I just
show.
don't want to keep talking about this. I'd rather just not have ever watched it.
Yeah, while he felt that genre of pain, for me, it was very specifically like staring into the sun for too long.
Yeah, I didn't...
Because I can make fun of all streams of bad media, but this is, the sun.
Yeah, my fiance was in the room while we were watching this.
He's single now.
Yeah, that's why they're my feet. I didn't want anyone to look at me while I was watching this. I felt actively dirty looking at it. I felt almost violated by the idea that anyone could see me while I was watching this show.
It was rough.
It was... Yeah, I'm not coming back to this.
All right, so we got a third feature. Felt a little sunnier about this one, but it's not a good show.
It's not great.
But
I'm giving this one a gentleman's 6 just because I was very sports entertained.
Yes, I was very sports entertained. I watched someone get thrown through a table. Also proof that I am not opposed to dumb media. Things can be dumb and fun, and I wouldn't... well-intentioned isn't the word, just not necrotic.
It wasn't overly cynical. Maybe it was a little cynical in that it used a whole bunch of, old tricks that I've seen a million times before.
It was definitely a return of a flavor of edge I am deeply familiar with.
Yeah, so this is Darwin's Game, which is about a gacha game where you die if you don't win.
Think about what this says about
society. Think about the bottom text. Yeah, and I would sort of describe it as this interesting mix of Mirai Nikki,
there's a lot
Gantz, fourth thing.
Okay, so it has a future diary thing going on, as Gantz. Battle Royale isn't quite the right thing because that's more about a tight cell of characters in a sort of bottle setting.
Yeah,
but there are a lot of these, Tournament of Murder type shows.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure.
I remember there was a manga running for a while. I think it was a shonen type thing where it was about people trying to attract as many followers as possible. Just that sort of social media satire thing that manga's trying to find the right wavelength for. And I'm going to say someone will eventually crack it, or maybe someone has cracked it and I just haven't read it yet. But I don't know, it's...
Tokyo Ghoul, maybe?
I never managed to get into Tokyo Ghoul. It was just too...
Tokyo Ghoul had
paid by the numbers.
Yeah, I don't know. It was also sort of... You didn't watch Tokyo Ghoul. You were a Tokyo Ghoul fan, or you weren't.
This show's exact IQ level reminds me of Dead Man Wonderland.
Possibly a hot take. I know a whole lot of people who thought that show was genius. I don't know. I didn't watch it.
I did not dislike it that intensely. It was just
silly.
It was just a silly
superpowers.
Blood superpower action show.
Ooh, blood.
Feel the edge. All right, so I guess we should explain some more basics here. So yeah, cell phone game of murder. It gives you a stand. You get a stand.
You get a stand. Come on, this is anime. We're not going to pretend it's anything else. They
drag that one out a bit. I kept on writing down, must we stand on ceremony?
On ceremony.
For many of the familiar elements sort of slowly dripped in this.
So here's the thing that this show does that I kind of fucking loved. Which is not necessarily to its credit, but I still fucking loved it. Is I love shonen stuff where everyone takes things about 75% more seriously than they should. This is literally life or death, but it's so amazingly... Its characters are so amazingly operatic about everything. It really, in a way that no one would ever fucking...
It is the opposite pole of, the bathos people sort of point at in, sort of Marvel films. I wrote down the words very serious 3 times in my notes, actually.
Everyone's completely straight-faced and yelling all the time.
That adds some entertainment value.
It really does.
This actually reminded me, at least for my money and my media consumption diet, dumb anime that isn't insulting or Dragon Quest is kind of like that joke about pizza and sex
Or beer.
or beer. Like even when
Pizza
it's
or beer.
yeah, even when it's bad,
It's good.
it's pretty good.
It's pretty good. That's the thing. As I said before, I was very sports entertained by this show. I think. Oh, there was this one very particular thing about it is that it's very clearly a shonen show, right? Like very, very much aimed at that demographic. And
Grassroots.
I love when shonen gets gory because it gets gory in a way that only shonen gets, where it's very cleanly gory. It's just kind of red colored sometimes.
Just to be precise, because I know someone's gonna shit on me about this at some point. Sam's still using the term shonen and like battle anime interchangeably here, but you fucking know what he means. Listen, if you are deep enough in the trenches to make that distinction, you already understand the character of what he's saying. Move on. Continue, Sam.
You watch a seinen, right? You watch a seinen, and someone gets gored in a seinen, and it's always a little bit less funny to watch than someone in a shonen, right? Someone gets nicked in the neck in the shonen, and then it zooms out and
It's like a super soaker.
and it's difficult to take seriously because even if you've never seen someone's artery get nicked, it doesn't look like that. Deep in your heart, your caveman brain is just saying, "No blood go that way."
By the way, with his first
Blood just gush, not spurt.
with his first murder opponent, who is a guy in a baseball mascot suit, stabbing people up, I couldn't help but think, man, Paranoia Agent really left a mark on people's psyche, huh?
Paranoid Agent, that was like the other thing.
Oh yeah, that was a show that had amidst a lot of other psychological shit going on and cool things, it had just that guy Shonen Bat who was that kid running off a baseball bat.
The kid, yeah, who got very much just. I don't know where I'm going with that.
Just a small aside because I found that very entertaining.
The unique silhouette. That's what I'm trying to say. Just a very unique little silhouette going around, and yeah. So you've got this one. The premiere episode was 45 minutes long, which I'm seeing is becoming more and more of a thing lately in anime. I remember Shield Hero had a 45-minute long premiere episode.
It probably makes it a bit easier to move because I know often when we watch these premieres, the first episode ends on a note that sort of arbitrary feeling cliffhanger.
Yeah, it's like okay.
And this lets them just do the whole, I don't know, double punch in one shot. I mean, you could argue that maybe they should just follow that form a little less rigidly, but I don't know, whatever gets you to Rome sometimes. Once again, I was sports entertained.
I didn't mind.
By the way, his sidekick is a terrible character. Like, I legitimately wrote down, I know...
This show lost points for her.
I just wrote down, Taoli, you're a terrible character. She's, a murder girlfriend, which is something that people are really into.
The only thing she's better at than murdering is wanting to suck his dick.
Yeah, and
yeah. I think we actually forgot to refer to the main character of the show. Whatever, it's you. It's the shonen main character. You've seen him before. You know who exactly
he is the starter character editor guy.
It's the guy who is ostensibly a character, but is you.
I think the lack of time that they took with him, or I guess they don't take time for that art shot because it's supposed to be projecting yourself, but I almost wonder if they had taken the time to make him a specific thing, if this show might have moved over the edge into almost kind of like grindhouse kind of fun.
Oh sure, yeah, like Kei Kurono, this guy is not.
Yeah.
And if this guy had been 15% more Kei Kurono or 15% more, what's like another kind of fun protagonist of this sort of genre that I've really enjoyed? I don't know, like even. I would have even bought a Joseph Joestar type character for this sort of thing. Just, like amusing ass clown playing this game, right?
But they just take a standard route of the guy screaming, "What's happening to me?" By the way, I don't buy that this guy both plays video games and does not catch on to all the genre bullshit going on in this show for about 35 minutes.
I'm not... He does play video games. It is,
Yeah, he downloads a gacha game to play.
Okay, yeah. I love I think we were talking about it. We touched upon it in brief, but this show seems to almost be taking a stab at satire, but it's a really lazy stab that doesn't actually go anywhere.
Yeah, when you think about gacha games, the problem with them out, they separate people from money, they play off social isolation, whatever. Running around
they
murdering
don't encourage
people
you to murder your friends.
About fucking gacha games.
Absolutely nothing. That's literally not even
Like I've never
adjacent to the problem of gacha games or microtransactions or free to play / pay to win, that sort of thing. None of that has anything.
Yeah, for all the thongs and cash money donations you find in these apps, if every gacha game was Manhunt, maybe I could buy this show. Hello everyone, this is Denard Dale from the Dated Reference family. Manhunt was a Rockstar Games production where you played a guy who I can only describe as a heroic serial killer trapped in I don't know, maybe a Western battle royale kind of setup. He has to run around murdering people. Whatever. Back to your regularly scheduled programming.
It's pretty brutal. I think I'm trying to give the show the benefit of the doubt, and I'm trying to actually come up with a reading of this show that is where the whole "but they have to kill each other, do you see what this says about the state of society" bottom text, where that whole thing makes sense. And I guess in my head, the one reading that kind of works is, oh man, these games are so exploitive, they even exploit murder. I don't know. I feel like I'm halfway there.
I don't know, how would you make the gacha satire action show?
They could. They're so. They could even convince people to kill one another if that was what got them their points. Or
I guess
I don't know. I just don't think it's there.
I guess a place they could take it is if you could give up things that were, I don't know, emotionally important to you or something, or people in your life for a boost in the tournament or something. Maybe it'll go there. That's a route. Like maybe to power up your stand, you need to just start throwing away your life savings, or I don't know. This show's dumber than that, so maybe you have to kill your mom to power up your stand. I'm spitballing here.
No, because here's the thing. This is already a matter of life and death. So, the whole life savings things, that doesn't track as, do you see what this says about society bottom text? Because, I would totally spend $8,000. I would totally spend $8,000 to not die. That is what that is worth to me. Possibly more, but I don't have more.
Yeah, we've got savings that match our generation's standard of living. It's an issue. By the way, we're taking donations. Just kidding. We don't have a Patreon. There aren't enough of you fucking people yet. Oh, but there will be.
Come 2021, we'll probably have a Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so this sort of stole from everything a bit. I think you talked a bit about this.
Yeah,
earlier,
no, you were in the bottom in the bottom 5 episode that we put out a little while ago. You were talking about how Sword Art Online stole from everything, but why? It did nothing interesting with it. This stole from everything and did something rather entertaining with it. I guess there's nothing too amazingly original about Darwin's game, but it's such a fucking chips and dip show that I don't really mind so much.
Yeah, I think in its best moment it's just chaotic and frenetic and kind of dumb, but there are things happening, and I guess I can enjoy that. I remember when the villainous figure, our erstwhile gangbanger Wang, came on, and he has a snake jacket and teeth that look like fangs and snake tattoo. Do you understand it? He's a snake, Randy Orton. It's highly amusing. Man, that hissing thing is going to be super amplified by this microphone. Like, it's going to be the worst S-pop of all time, but...
Do I need to put a low pass on? I don't know anything about sound editing.
That sounds like a challenge, I know. But yeah, between Wang and his erstwhile waifu, the population of Japan in this show is about 60% blondes.
I think it's because she kind of has to be Saber just a little bit. Like, she's the action girlfriend. Of course she has to look like Saber. That's just a law or something. That's like anime law.
You don't want to go to anime jail.
You know how like in countries where, either they're brewing or they're what is what is the verb for making wine?
Like fermenting?
Vintning, something like that, where that's so very, very important to them, right? And so there are standards that must be met, right? That it has to, include at least, this amount of, that ingredient or this amount of that, and it must have an alcoholic content of at least, this amount. It's kind of like that in anime, but, for action waifus must look... At least, 60% of them must look exactly like fucking Saber.
All right, we're going to call that the Saber theorem, or Legault's greater Saber theorem. I kind of dig that. There's something I want to get to, so I have to explain something else to make this point. I've always had this concept, because I read a bunch of Western comic shit, too, and all that's the superhero comics thing, whatever. It's how you brought up. And I had a rule I called the Riddler theorem, which I always thought the sort of Riddler and Joker plots were always dangerous because their ceiling would always be the actual intelligence of the writer.
That's the thing. It's hard to write a show about smart people if you are not yourself.
And if a moron is writing a Riddler story, the riddle is going to be like, what fits in my hand and shoots bullets at several hundred miles an hour? I don't know, Edward Nygma and line it. Oh, he shot me. So that's a problem, right? So this show tries to go for some, I don't know, those puzzle box shonen fights, little information warfare bits, whatever. But the writers are not quite that smart. So it will start with him trying to do some intellectual thing, dodging her blade chain, she control her mind, whatever. She's Scorpion. Work with it.
Basically, yeah. It worked functionally. She's identical to Scorpion.
And it starts with him just shooting at her, and that doesn't work because chains, I guess. But he's contrived some kind of corner Jedi contraption where you can pull a cloth and it shoots his gun, but that doesn't work. And that was supposed to be the puzzle solution. So then he's just running at this girl with his intellect and pluck, and he's just hitting chains with his backpack. It would have been this my mind versus her mind, ends with him screaming at her like a fucking linebacker, swatting chains with his backpack, dodging chains like he's the fucking Flash, and just finally tackling pulling out chick. His gun. And that was highly amusing, but what's even funnier in terms of dumb guys writing puzzle fights is how the first fight ended up. Which is, they had a moment where it could have been him outsmarting the guy, like he basically gets around his detection thing and hits him with a fucking fire extinguisher or whatever. But the guy survives that. It's like when a wrestling match goes on too long past the first finisher.
Yeah, no, and it ends in a stupid way. It goes beyond that, and instead of outsmarting him, right, the dude has him dead to rights, and then, because he's invisible, right, because that's his stand, right, a car does not see him and hits him, and he dies of internal bleeding.
Now, keep in mind, this is our first conflict. This is when you theoretically endear us to our protagonist through like his grit or his ingenuity. He either has
enough smarts or enough pluck to finish the fight himself, but
he's
no,
just a cart. The guy just gets hit by a fucking car. I have never seen this,
and I won't say that I wasn't entertained because it was a really funny car crash.
It was entertaining.
But it completely killed any sort of forward momentum the protagonist could have gained going forward into the show.
Yeah, if I were to borrow the wrestling parlance again, he kind of got buried in the first match there.
In the first match, yeah. No, even if he did get the pin,
yeah.
So that's why I will not call this a good show. But it is a very entertaining show. Like I said, A Gentleman's Six.
A Gentleman's Six. It just reminded me.
And it would have been A Gentleman's Seven if not for like the last minute and a half or so. Good fucking god.
Oh yeah. She tumbles on him naked, etc. I don't know.
It's like, anime shit happens. No, that's not fair. Fucking shonen shit happens. Is that known to happen in seinen? No, it's not known to happen in seinen because seinen readers and seinen viewers tend to be smarter than that, and they do not fucking fall for those tricks.
A consumer block with what's the insider term? Fucking standards. With fucking standards.
They're just older. They're like, they don't.
So yeah,
they've seen that shit a million times before, and they're like, "Oh, okay, neat trick. What's next?"
Yeah. So man, this has been an interesting episode on our end because we pretty much jumped across the entire fucking quality spectrum of anime here,
Oh,
huh?
absolutely, yeah. I I honestly wish that I watched more shows like Darwin's Game because it's a show that really only exists in anime, right? And whether it's good or not, there's something that I deeply enjoy about something being so very unapologetically anime like this.
I appreciate that kind of dumb purity. I think that it's kind of important for us every now and then. Stuff like this and Fairy Gone, I think.
Oh,
because
man.
because basically
Fairy Gone has a dub now, and I think I'm going to try watching it and see if it helps me understand what the fuck was going on in that show.
we've got a date with it. I think that'll be interesting. But what I think happens when you have a review show like this is sometimes you see good stuff that's very experimental or formally innovative, whatever, or bad stuff where it doesn't even matter what fucking genre it is. It's just sort of scraping a certain type of bottom of the barrel. And I think seeing something like this that's just dumb and frenetic sort of just reminds you on what the base level of engagement of anime is. Sort of roped you in the first place.
The whole thing was very Adult Swim.
Yes.
Like, exactly the sort of thing that you'd be watching on Adult Swim circa, 2003, 2004 or so.
Yeah, I could see it hitting those airwaves very quick, like. Man. Any closing thoughts on this business? Gee, Davey, which show do you recommend, not recommend, and think was okay? Unearth these mysteries for our readers, Davey.
I should watch Vinland Saga.
Oh yeah, totally read Vinland Saga. I mean, I made it my number one fucking comic of the past fucking decade.
I finally dipped my toes into it, and oh, the water is nice.
It is warm, pure healing water. Anyway, this has been Weeaboo Hell.
It's Weeaboo Hell.
I am Denard Dale, aka Blind Monkey.
I am Sam Legault, the artist formerly known as Mute Monkey.
His other name is a symbol. Thanks for watching. Also, yeah, I guess I'll do the plugs. Weeaboohell.com, SeeMoreEvil.com.
Download it wherever you listen to podcasts. I think it's on all of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I listen to us on Spotify.
If out of all our viewers, mostly concentrated on the West Coast and Russia for some reason, based on my site statistics, if you're in New York, I don't know. I do stand-up. Check it out. It's great.
Russia.
I don't know, man. It's weird. It might just be it might just be an VPN thing.
It could be.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you all. Have an excellent week. Also, we're shooting for weekly now, so week. Committing. See you next fucking week. Cool.
That's how I say, I'm sorry, my German is bad. Do you speak English?
Yeah, Sam was recently drafted by the German mafia. All right, let's figure out which way we're gonna look at each.
Ooh, do the Germans have
Should
a
we
mafia?
face
That'd be cool.
Any random chatter you want to put here? There's a good chance it'll end up being our stinger if you do.
Oh man, what do I want? Now, here's the thing, like, all that's on my mind right now is just the liters upon liters of beer that are coming this fall.
Oh yeah. Everyone, the ending of Weeaboo Hell will be when we go to this Munich trip.
Not Tokyo, as
September.
it would have.
Oh yeah.
Not Tokyo, interestingly enough.
Oh yeah, Tokyo. We might have to do, I don't know, live tweet, live blog. Is there a live podcast? I guess most podcasts are live, unless you're doing like a hardcore history kind of thing.
I think a lot of them are scripted. Well, like, riffing ones are usually live, yes. But, like, a lot of the ones that I listen to, like Revolutions, Hardcore History, Lore, that kind of thing, that's pretty scripted right there.
Oh yeah. I should put a plug. Coming out this spring, I'll be doing The History of History, title pending. A totally serious and non-satirical history podcast series. I might use his voice. I'm not settled yet.
He's very capable of doing things that are not satirical.
I'm very capable. It's not a disease that's held me back since I was 13.